sometimes God's ways, well, quite often God's ways are not the ways that we think that it's going to turn out. But when we got fired by HGTV, we wrote a book, and that turned into a bestseller, and that was our story. And then we ended up writing a second book as a result of that, was How to Help You Build Your Story, to stand faithfully in today's culture. And then this third book, Miracle in Shreveport, the one that we're releasing on March the 27th, is all about how our story fits into his story in today's particular cultural moment. So we look back at that time when we got fired by HGTV, and by God's amazing grace, we stood with some resolve. But one of the major reasons why was because we had a testimony of a 20-year period in our life that really brought us great strength because of the way that God was working behind the scenes, putting all the pieces of our puzzle together of our life.
So you talk about what God was doing in both of you at that time, a 20-year period of time, David.
That's right.
So Jason, what did you sense God was doing to prepare you guys for, I guess, the next phase, the next era in the Benham brothers story?
Well, during that time, from 5 to 25, we had no clue what God was doing. But during that, we really learned how to just live faithfully wherever God had placed us, and to learn how to pivot. Because it was during that time that we had this dream of playing professional baseball together with each other, but not just together on a specific team, but actually playing in a particular stadium. And so we grew up in Dallas, Texas, and we used to take a trip up I-20 every year for vacation to Atlanta, Georgia. And each year we would pass Shreveport, Louisiana, and there was a stadium there right off I-20 called Fairgrounds Field. And right about 7:30 in the morning is about the time that we would hit Shreveport, because we left early. I mean, it was terrible. Our dad would make us get up early in this 1979 Caprice Classic. We'd be sleeping in the back. Right about the time we'd pass Shreveport, he'd wake us up and say, "Hey, boys, maybe one day you guys could play professional baseball together in that stadium. Let's pray and ask God to make it happen." We did that growing up. We kept praying that prayer as we would take our vacations. We signed baseball scholarships to play at Liberty. We continued to pass that field praying the exact same prayer, and we took some downturns. Our senior year of high school, David got drafted. I did not. It was like my dream was crushed.
Oh, my goodness.
But he didn't sign with the Mets. That's who drafted him. We both went to Liberty. After our junior year, he got drafted by the Mets again. I did not.
We see a pattern here.
Tim Tebow would be proud.
That's right, but I didn't sign with him. We ended up going to Liberty. And then I was drafted by the Red Sox. Jason was drafted by the Orioles. And we went on to play professional baseball, but neither one of those teams had a minor league team in Shreveport or in the Texas League, which is where Shreveport was. So we knew as we write this book, that prayer and that little dream of playing together in Shreveport, it wasn't going to happen. And that's what's interesting is that, by the time you get done with this book, you realize, oh my goodness, what a miracle that our journey was ups and downs. As a matter of fact, Jason, when he was with the Orioles, broke his leg in half. He did the old Joe Theismann injury when Lawrence Taylor was on top of him with the New York Giants. And they pieced his leg back together. He ended up getting rehabbed to be released, and he was released. So baseball was over with for him. At the same time, I had been traded to the Cardinals. I was sent to Major League Spring Training. I had a batting glove contract. I had Louisville Sluggers with my names on them. And I mean, it was just crazy how my career was blossoming and Jason's career was ending. So we knew, hey, all those little prayers we used to pray with Dad in that Caprice Classic and then in that black Chevy Astro van.
It meant nothing.
Where was God there? So, but our story continues to go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, David and Jason Benham joining us today here on the Meeting House on Faith Radio, the Benham brothers. And this is very interesting because I've been watching Jason as you were talking about that your career was rising. Jason's is declining. Want to get Jason's take on this whole story.
Well, I learned the power of pivot.
The power of pivot.
Pivot. Oh my gosh.
Is that a theme in this book?
We write about it.
We don't teach about it because we just told the story in the book. But you'll see the power of pivot.
The power of pivot.
Yeah, that if you're going to live a powerful life, you've got to experience pain and go through that pain. And that pain often is a bewilderment where you're like, God, where are you? What are you doing? I thought we were going this direction. Now I'm going this direction. And you really learn to just die to whatever it is that you're holding on to in your heart. And but the beauty of dying to that dream or to that thing that you're holding on to is that's when the life can come out.